Hello. Before we start the episode, just want to let you guys know that we love hearing from you every week. We're so glad that you're enjoying the podcast. Alan and I both love doing this so much, and we're going to continue to grow. But we need your help. If you could take a quick 5 seconds and hop on over to Apple Podcasts and rate the show, that will help us reach a larger audience, and it'll make me and Alan very, very happy. If you have any ideas for who we should have on the show, please send those over to james@statesidemgmt.com. Thanks so much, guys. Welcome back to the Stateside Podcast with your host, James MacMillan, and Alan Ashcraft to the left. What's up?
Hello.
This evening, we have a special guest, probably the most delicious and special of all guests.
Get ready.
It's me and you, Alan.
No guest.
All right.
Fuck it.
Full ego.
Yeah.
It's weird when we do no guest because we're sitting next to each other. It'd be better if I was over there.
Right.
Like human beings. But other podcasters do it this way too. So this will work. How's it going, first of all?
Man.
You busy?
I try not to use that word busy. I read something that was just like, when you say that you're busy, it just, like, it comes across so pretentious. And also, in 2019, busy can mean poorly organized.
It definitely can.
I'm just so busy. Oh, yeah, what are you working on? Fucking just existing.
Existing, I know. And also, people at our age, everyone is busy.
For sure. Yeah.
No one has any sympathy for it.
Well, yeah, it's like how, I don't know if this was a thing in your school, but like in middle school, high school, did you have just a plethora of students that would self-diagnose insomnia?
Yeah.
Like, it was the cool thing, like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm an insomniac. Like, yeah. I heard that shit so much, and I'm like, you have a little bit of trouble sleeping. You're not an insomniac. How long has it been since you slept? Well, I mean, I got like 6 hours last night.
Like, that's not insomnia.
You are the furthest thing from it.
Yeah. Did you also play PS4 until 2 a.m?
Right.
Are you not trying to actually have a healthy sleep pattern?
Yeah. Drink an insane amount of Jolt Colas.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Because I was doing that too. I remember telling my dad that once when I was really young. It's like, I just can't ever go to sleep. He's like, well, maybe don't do all the things that you do.
I know.
Drinking beer until 20 seconds before I'm supposed to go to bed. And
I think about it all the time now when people are like, oh, I'm just so busy. Like, I got this thing, and then I got to fly out here, and I'm meeting some people, business meeting, and then I got a conference call I got to do. Yeah. It's just it's so silly. Like, if you're truly busy, if you're like really out there killing it and shit, you shouldn't have to tell anybody.
That's true.
They should just oh yeah, no, I saw that thing you posted. That was cool. Or
right.
I heard that you're doing so-and-so whatever thing, you know?
It should be obvious.
Yeah.
What were we talking about right before the show? And I was like, oh, that was a good podcast conversation.
Was it like where comedy's at nowadays?
Yeah. Because this is episode 65, and we're thinking about doing a live show for episode 69. Because we're juvenile delinquents.
Hell yeah.
It's still funny.
We have 2 live shows planned, 69 and 420. Very far apart.
Yeah, years from now.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Do you know Mark Maron just celebrated his 1,000th episode?
That's fucking nuts.
Crazy.
It's so funny because if it wasn't for Joe Rogan, Mark Maron would be so much more celebrated.
I know.
Did he not start before Rogan?
I think he did, technically.
Like, by a few years, I think.
Yeah, it was like Mark Maron, Adam Carolla, and another dude. They all kind of started roughly around the same time.
It's almost like Mark Maron's that kid in class that said something funny, but Joe Rogan just said it louder.
Yeah.
So everybody started laughing harder.
Because everyone calls
like,
Rogan the podcast godfather.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But to be fair, yeah, I mean, Mark Maron's podcast is huge. I mean, those numbers are crazy.
I mean, he got fucking Barack Obama on it.
I mean, he's had like crazy A-list celebrities on there. But it is a different show, and I think Rogan's is more impactful in like the culture it's built.
And it's a very good point, and it's not surprising at all that Rogan's is bigger, because I mean, look how much more it's geared towards millennials.
Exactly.
Like, it is all this fucking just the people that he has on, and then the use of like video, and it's a big deal. I think that Maron's is much more, he's the NPR of podcasts. Like, it's a very not that he's talking about old dude shit all the time, but it is like a subdued version of like your typical podcast.
Right. It's more or less interview based.
Yeah. It's the most stripped down.
Yep.
And in a lot of ways, I have a ton of respect for that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he does that at his goddamn garage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's making 6 figures off that podcast in his garage.
So crazy. And so many people don't know that. They can look at Rogan and assume that, and they're correct, but I don't think very many people, I don't think it's common knowledge.
And also, isn't Marin just audio still?
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
almost
that's the
positive
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Rogan's like everywhere, audio, mostly video, and it's all live.
Yep.
But anyway, where we were going with that, we were talking about the possibility of doing the live show. You know, obviously for now, we're going to do a live episode in studio, not like at a venue or anything, although that is something we want to do. And we were just kind of discussing how fun that would be, and how a lot of people are doing that anyway, even stand-up comics, like you'd mentioned, Hannibal Buress.
Yep. Yeah.
Sort of has a similar, you know, he's got a screen in the background. And I kind of think that, like, it's almost surprising that more podcasters don't do live shows.
Right.
I could understand it being weird and almost like not going over well a few years back. But where we are now, I think it could be really good if you do it right. You know?
Well, yeah,
really
especially when it's established. You know,
especially
because
when established.
I think that
kind of has to be.
Yeah, with comedians, there's always this, you know, you watch their special and it's a foregone conclusion that they will be coming to your city, and you can scope them out live. Like it's all good. Yep. But then your favorite podcaster, it's not typical that they go and do a show. So then I feel like that is then what makes it, like you said, we're on the cusp of it. So now is really the time to, you strike now while the iron's hot, for sure.
Yeah. I know that the last podcast on the left, those guys tour all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. More than I would ever thought.
I hear about that one all the time, and I've never listened. I don't know.
You'd love it. You'd love it. I mean, it's
have to check it out.
One of my favorites. They're so fucking funny and goofy.
I'm pretty much down to, you know, the tip, like every now and then Joe Rogan, but it's just Chris D'Elia and then Bill Burr.
Really?
And then Sword and Scale.
If you like Sword and Scale, it's like combining the humor of D'Elia and those morons we love with Sword and Scale.
Jesus.
It's like super funny and goofy, but they're talking about murderers and alien abductions and Bigfoot and like crazy X-Files type shit.
That's actually a decent segue, or at the very least a temporary one. We can kind of come back to what we were talking about. But Sword and Scale, and you're going to know how much this fucking kills me. There's a threat from Mike Boudet, who's he's the narrator, creator of it, that it's done. It's not going to be...
I saw, because I have it on my thing, and I saw like a little description saying this is the last episode, at least.
I mean, I've been running around for 6 months now saying that Sword and Scale is my favorite thing about my entire life.
Dude, and it said it, but for the Patreon supporters, it'll still be there or something?
Right now...
That's kind of weird.
Well, here's essentially what happened. There were a couple other... So have you heard of the podcast Lore?
Yes, I have.
So the creator of that, his name's... his or her name, I guess I don't even know if it's a man or a woman, is Alex Menke. And I guess that is one of the two individuals that kind of led this crusade to stop Sword and Scale for whatever reason. Wow. I didn't dive too far because, I mean, dude, podcast drama, like how how whack of a way to spend your time is that?
Yes.
But still, I read that they were essentially successful and that they got a bunch of sponsors to run for the hills and no longer be part of the Sword and Scale thing,
holy shit,
which has financially impacted Mike Boudet, but at the same time,
I would imagine
he's killing it.
Could still find sponsorship.
Yeah.
How much power do these people have?
He also, here's the most important part. Mike Boudet has a pretty large history of being incredibly emotionally immature. He's like the worst kind of troll where like he's not even a little bit funny. He'll say triggering things to people just literally to bum everybody out. Guy? Yeah, this is the Sword and Scale dude. So this last little announcement that he made was on the heels of like losing his last sponsor. So it was a very emotionally driven kind of like...
It did seem like that. And the description it didn't seem like for sure.
Yeah,
it said like for now. You know, you would use very general descriptors.
It was
like
the
that.
equivalent of like when you fight with a girl and then she goes, well, maybe we should just break up. She doesn't want to.
She's not saying...
But she just wants to shake you to your core. That's all that was.
It sucks though for the audience. Everyone's like, hey man, we didn't do anything to you. And it's insane to expect people to pay for podcasts. As you know, I know people think that people should have to.
I mean, that being said, I'm about to walk my $5 a month over to Patreon.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to.
Yeah, you need the show.
I fucking love that show so much.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of value in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think how I should be better about that too. The shows that I love, because I'm a huge podcast person, and I don't really support any of them financially, other than like merch, things of that nature. But yeah, man, and almost every one of them has a Patreon, so there's no excuse for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the big, like giant ones, they're fine. They don't need my support. But the small, like there's I listen to a lot of podcasts, man. There's a guy named Dean Del Rey.
Oh yeah,
he's really fucking cool. He's a stand-up comic that was like a LA rocker for most of his time. He actually started stand-up when he was like 45.
He and I actually
really late.
I spoke with him very briefly.
I did too
on Instagram, because he saw that I designed those shoes for At the Drive-In.
Yep.
And he was like, dude, will you please send me a pair? And I was like, I don't really have access to the stock, but I tried to get a pair out to him.
He's really cool, man. And he'll interview such a wide range of people. People from like Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age,
mm-hmm.
and like actual rock stars, actors. He's close friends with really famous people. But then he'll have like the last episode was just some guy that he met that owns a watch shop.
Jeez.
Because he's a big like vintage guy. He loves vintage jackets and shoes and watches and cars. So he's a big nerd.
That's killer though. Like he doesn't give a fuck about what anybody else wants.
It's kind of like the Rogan thing. It's either for you or it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe this episode you just skip
right.
out on this one.
Yep.
But I listen to it. Like I love vintage watches, so I listen to the sub information about 1965 Submariner Rolexes and all the different model numbers. You know how fucking boring that is for people that don't give a shit?
Exhilarating.
I'm just like, oh yeah, taking notes, and like I love that shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, he's got a Patreon that I should definitely support, and people like that could use the help.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, yeah, it's a good time to be a podcaster. I think there's certainly a lot of them now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jesus Christ, it's kind of hard to get your voices heard.
Oh yeah, it's crabs in a bucket, dude.
Yeah. But the way I think about it is it's really like a game of chicken. I was talking to Dewey about this. Dewey from the Pure Pleasure podcast, who we've had on a couple times. He and I were kind of chatting about just like staying consistent, and it's different. You can't compare yourself to anyone else. Everyone's path is different, not just in podcasting, but in life. And as long as you stay consistent and you keep doing it, eventually you'll get your turn. Assuming it's good and there's quality and you're actually doing a good show, which I think we are.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. That's so. I think that's huge in so many aspects of life.
Yeah,
is like not similar to crabs in a bucket. Like you're not pulling somebody in front of you down. It's you can get your turn. And honestly, you and I have talked about this before. Sometimes it's good that you have to work to get to a point where it is your turn, because within that time that you waited, and even if you were bummed and depressed the whole time that it's not your turn yet, and like, when am I going to get my shot?
Yeah.
You are honing a skill that whole time.
Yep.
And the example I always use is by the time I started working at Rise, I had been a graphic designer for nearly 11 years.
Jesus.
So I walked in there feeling like I was the Michael Jordan of anything on a computer. I was just like, I felt bulletproof, which was great, because that was a huge moment for me. And I know that everybody there was looking for me to prove myself, because the label was then and still is currently very lean. So if you don't serve a massive purpose or have an insane amount of value, your value has to be at least 1.5 people.
Yeah.
Like if you can do one thing, you're not going to work at Rise. Everybody there wears multiple hats.
Right.
So they, it's tough to get in, and it's even tougher to stay. And I had no worry about that, because I had been doing I thought that I was just being picked over for a decade when really I was marinating. And then I get there and I'm just like, yeah, what do you need? Boom, done.
Right.
You know, and I just to this day haven't really been given something that I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do that.
Right. Yeah, I know, man. That's the day and age we're at now.
I think if you rush to get your shot, okay, cool. You get your shot and you've been, you know, maybe you've been designing for 2 years. Now your stuff's not that good and you just got fired from your dream job.
Right.
How rough is that going to be?
No shit.
Or you can just wait a decade, which is very painful, and then you get it and there's no fucking way they're letting you go.
Yep. And also, I mean, especially for things like this, I mean, I guess even for what you're talking about for jobs, but for things like a band, especially a podcast, you kind of want it to be that way. I mean, yeah, it'd be great to just take off and be really, you know, successful right away. But your audience is going to be a better audience. They're going to stick with you longer. They're going to know you longer. And they're in the end, they'll support you longer. Mm-hmm. If it takes a while, you know.
Right, yeah, because then you're showing your investment.
Yep.
This isn't
that true grit.
It's hard to accuse somebody of just being in it for the money if they've been doing it for no money for 10 years.
No shit,
man. You know, then you're like, okay, Jesus, you love this thing.
I know. That's why I like the last podcast on the left and, you know, podcasts like that. You go back and look, man, those guys, I mean, that has been like 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they've been doing it for fucking ever. And they started out doing it for nothing. I mean, nothing.
Authenticity is number one, man.
Yep.
People can smell it on you if it's not there. You can just, if you are inauthentic or you have like some shitty motive, it's just, it might grab people initially, but that flame is gonna extinguish itself real quick.
Yeah, and again, you know, we're not a podcast that has one topic or like you know, we're this type of podcast, because there are podcasts out there that do that, like we talk about football or we talk about murder cases, you know. Yeah. I mean, there's not like a subgenre that we do, and if you do have one of those, it is likely to take off faster because you're part of a thing, and if you like that thing, then you go check out that podcast. But that's not what we do. I mean, we kind of yes, it's music centric for sure. I mean, you couldn't argue that. We definitely come from that world, and a lot of our guests are either musicians or producers or whatever. But we're obviously talking about everything. And I think for me, those are my favorite podcasts. At the end of the day, those are the ones I like the most.
Yeah.
You know, The Fighter and the Kid, Rogan, whatever.
Yeah, I think it would be challenging to have a theme.
I know, I'm fucking boring.
Yeah.
I don't love anything that much.
No, not at all.
Not even music, man. You know, originally I thought that this would be way more music heavy, which is just so funny to me because it already is.
Yeah.
But, you know, I thought it was really going to be a little bit more serious and just interviewing people on the creative process and things of that nature. But for me, it's like, I want to do 30 minutes of that now and then move on to fucking fart jokes.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think, yeah, and with anything, like, if you talk certain things into the ground, it's hard to show or give the proper spotlight to something that really deserves it.
Right.
Like, maybe we don't talk about music all the time, but there's an album that comes out and we just need to talk about it.
Yes.
I think that's going to resonate a little more because it's like, okay, they're not just talking about, you know, some album because they have to every episode.
Right. Yep. So I have some things written down here. Did you want to tell your story that you were going to tell me about?
Yeah. Dude, so, and I love that you haven't heard this too.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
That's why I haven't told you even off air.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so this is just to like preface this. This is got to be top 5 best story that I have. And it happened recently. Because I have some go-tos, you know, like if I'm at a party or out with some friends or something and yeah,
you have some good ones.
Yeah, if the vibe is kind of low, I'm like, all right, I got an incredible story. So this happened, it would have to be February 23rd because that was a Saturday, and we had a show on the 24th, and
right, that's the day I left for California.
Yep, yeah, and we went and we had practice, and the idea was, you know, we practiced at Vinny's house, and then Vinny and I each have SUVs, so we were gonna put guitar shit in my rig, and then we were gonna put all the drum stuff in Vinny's, and then we would meet up at the Paris Theater the following day and, you know, do load in, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So we have practice, we load up, and we kind of have this tradition of after practice, we eat edibles and we play Mario Kart.
Okay.
So we do that. It's a blast, having a good time. And my edible is catching up with me hard. And for me, like, I think it's like this for a lot of people. With drugs, like, transitioning is easily the hardest part for me. Like, it is, like, the idea of leaving someone's house to go to my house and I am fucking barbecued. Like, that's so difficult. But at the same time, it's what I want to do because I don't want to be somewhere else when I'm getting that high. So I feel it creeping on me. And I'm like, I got to go. And they're like, okay, cool, man. You know, we'll see you tomorrow. So I take off. And I do love to drive when I'm stoned. It's not the same as alcohol. I've driven on like a beer and a half. And
Agreed.
It's been too much. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
I definitely have been too high. And I probably should have driven.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Years ago.
But I typically, you know, I just feel like my car is actually a spaceship. I jack the music way up and I'm vibing.
You're vibing it.
And if anything, I'm typically going like 30 under the speed limit, not over.
Totally.
So I get home and I backed my car into the driveway because I'm like, you know, it's a safe-ish area. But
do you usually do that?
No, I don't. And I was like, you know, but if somebody's got their eye on some shit, which how the fuck are they going to know that on this one particular day, there's some gear inside the tinted windows of my vehicle.
Is it all of your gear? Is that what you said?
This is all guitar gear. So like none of it's mine, but I still want to protect it, obviously. And I think what got me a little bit paranoid was at the height of my like highness, Chris, our bassist, says, is our stuff going to be safe at your place? Which like
just kind of gave you the bad.
Yeah. So I responded like, oh, absolutely. But then afterwards I'm like thinking about it.
Right.
So then, you know, whatever, I get home, I back in, and then I forget the gear's there. I forget about the whole situation, and I'm chilling. I just got some Philips Hue lights, like those neon, like smart LED bulbs or whatever.
Right.
I'm listening to fucking Aaron Carter's newest album and like jacked up the, I've got like purple and pink and I'm high as shit. I'm just like I'm just chilling out, having a great Saturday night.
Partied yourself.
Just me and my dog.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to eat and then I got to go to bed. So I'm watching an episode of The Office, I eat, and then I'm like, in my head, all I can hear is Chris going, is our stuff going to be safe?
Right.
So I was like, I have a Ring doorbell, and then I have a Ring camera pointing right at my driveway. So I'm like, I'm sure everything's fine, but I'm just going to check the Ring camera because why the fuck not? And I check it.
You do this from your phone?
I do this from my phone on the couch. I check it, and it immediately shows me the driveway, and there is no shit a dude with the back of my 4Runner open and he's just scoping out the gear. I'm assuming based on his body language and shit that he just got there. He just opened it. He's looking sketchy to me, and I'm like, oh my God. And my heart starts beating, and I'm still super high at this point. And now I have to go confront a bad guy.
Oh God.
So I remember I looked at Scary, and she's shaking, and she gives me this look like, this is what we train for. Let's fucking roll. Like I felt like she already knew what was up. So I go in my room where I have a baseball bat. I grab the baseball bat. I fucking like 300 kick open my back door to my house.
So you got a baseball bat in your pit bull.
And I just screamed something like, it was something like, let's do this or let's fucking party. It was something legit psychotic. And I go around. So now I'm in my backyard and I open up my back fence.
I wish I could have seen this.
I open up my back fence and I'm just a fucking maniac. Scary runs out the back. And I look at my car and the back is shut. The lights are off. No one to be found. So
what?
I'm like, okay, he clearly heard me. Like my war cry of let's party fucking worked. And he's running down the street. So Scary and she's got no collar on. She looks insane.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm in my underwear, by the way.
Okay.
And with a baseball bat.
Yep.
And like bedhead, just fucking crazy hair.
Is it a busy neighborhood?
No, this is like.
So no one would have seen this?
No, this is like midnight, 1 a.m.
Okay.
And I look up and down the street. I see nobody. And I'm like,
really?
What the fuck is going, like, how high am I? So I go back in the house and I'm sitting there like.
Did you check your car first?
I did, yeah. Everything's locked. Everything's good. Everything's in there.
It's locked.
I'm fine. Yes.
Everything's locked.
Yes. So I'm like, what Jordan Peele movie am I in right now? This is a nightmare. So then I go inside and I'm like, were my eyes playing tricks on me? I open up Ring, and this is where I tell you guys that Ring recently updated their app to where when you open it, it does not show you a live, this is what's happening right now view. It shows you a most recent activity view. It was me coming home.
Oh my God.
And looking in the back of my own vehicle at 7:33 p.m. So I'm out in my underwear with a baseball bat chasing ghosts that look like me. And you know what's really fucked up? I remember thinking that when I saw this guy on my phone, I was like, that skinny fuck, I could destroy him.
Right,
I'm that skinny
pussy.
Fuck.
Oh my God, dude.
So listen.
Kids, don't do drugs.
Weed, baby.
Dude, that is unfucking real, man.
It's rough, man. Have you ever been embarrassed when you're alone? Like, that's a rough fucking way to live. And I had a hard time sleeping.
You're like,
I was embarrassed that Scary saw all that. I was just like, this is...
Oh, she'll never forgive me.
It was rough, man. It was rough.
Dude, if you lived with a girlfriend or roommate, they would never let you live that down.
I would come back in and they'd be packing up their shit to fucking move out. But you're insane. It's rough living, man.
Dude, that is fucking hilarious. So you saw something on your... I love that you were already high and you're like, oh, fuck, I keep hearing this in my head. I'll check.
Yep.
You see a fucking video of a dude, your worst nightmare.
I just went...
Let's go.
Yep. I screamed at nobody, let's party. That's not good.
God damn it.
I was ready to bash some dude so fucking hard.
Dude, you're lucky that, like... a neighbor didn't see that, because what if they called the cops?
I know.
I would have called the cops if I saw my neighbor with a pit bull, a baseball bat in his underwear, yelling, let's party.
And now I'm stoned and I got to explain that whole thing to a cop.
You're like, well, hold on, here's what happened. Like, you're just getting in the back of the car, we're going to jail.
Yeah.
You're clearly insane.
Yeah, could you imagine if a neighbor was like, who are you yelling at? And I'm like, it's a long story.
Myself.
Yeah, it was me. I was yelling at me. I know, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I was breaking into my own car. Well, kind of. Technically, whatever.
I was yelling at past Alan for breaking into his own vehicle.
Dude, that's fucking great, man. So that happened on that Saturday?
Yep, that was February 23rd.
Holy shit. Did you tell anyone that night?
Not that night, but you better believe the next day I told the dudes at the show and they couldn't fucking believe it.
Oh my God.
So good.
So fucking funny, man. I don't even know how to transition from
I know.
That's just
I'm still thinking about it. Yeah, I can't believe that fucking happened.
Life. That is so good.
It's crazy.
So, well, there's that. That's my first thing I had written down. The other thing... Well, it's St. Paddy's Day on Sunday, which most people don't give a shit about. I don't really either. It's pretty much just amateur night.
Right.
Assholes. And I bartended for too long to not have a negative thing about it.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's similar to Cinco de Mayo, where it's just no one gives a fuck until the day, and then it's Irish heritage is so important on that one day.
The one day.
Yeah. I
do like it now a little bit more that I'm older. Typically, my wife and I will go out with my sister Sarah and her husband, my brother-in-law Josh, just because we went to Ireland together. This is kind of a memory of that trip sort of thing. And we just keep it chill. We'll go to like Mars Pub. It's a little place out in, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Maher.
Oh, okay.
Out in Lake Oswego. It's a really small, adorable little Irish pub. And they keep it chill. They'll have like some Irish kid dancers, little feet.
Oh, that's awesome.
No hands, just the feet. That shit and some Irish music, and then we'll go home. But and I'll probably watch a movie leading up to it, Angela's Ashes or something terribly sad. Sad white people movies.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some good ones.
Have you ever seen that one?
No, never even heard of it. Angela's Ashes?
Yeah, it was a book. It was a novel. Not a novel. Well, I guess
sounds like a metalcore band.
It really does. It's actually based on a guy's life. Peter McCourt. Is that his name? Frank McCourt. That's the guy's name. And he grew up in like turn of the century Limerick in Ireland and was part of a lot of the immigration wave to America. But yeah, he's an author now. So he basically, the story's about him as a little kid with his like 7 siblings. The most typical Irish story of all time.
Yeah.
And absolute poverty in like a tiny, probably smaller than this room. Their whole family, like picking charcoal off the street to light fires, he worked in the mines when he was like 7.
God.
But it's a crazy like Irish Catholic movie. Really, really good though, and a lot of people are in it. It's like a really popular, like Academy Award winning movie.
Yeah,
super good.
Check out this segue. Speaking of Irish, did you hear about Conor McGregor? You got that
about theft or something?
Yeah, sort of.
I don't have it in the news.
Some fan just rushed in for a video.
That's what it was.
And he spiked the phone on the ground.
Yeah, so he got accused of stealing the phone or something?
Yeah, it's theft and like destruction of property. And
fuck that guy.
He was out in like less than 24 hours.
I mean the fan. Fuck the fan.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's got to be so hard to be as huge as McGregor and just have people jamming phone, like just entitled pieces of shit jamming phone. And a lot of people are like, listen, that's the price you pay for celebrity. And it's like,
no, it's not.
Sort of. Like,
yeah.
You're allowed to have that space, Yes. And Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter if I'm the president. If you're getting all up in my shit, I'm going to have to.
Especially a fighter.
Yeah.
Someone who...
Well, it's not like he cracked the dude either. That would be like, hey, man, you got to calm the fuck down.
Right.
He just took your phone and he smashed it. And
he has a right to protect his life.
And as he was spiking it, he was probably like, I can afford this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the beauty of it. I was telling somebody at Rise, like, I wish I had the kind of money where it afforded me the opportunity just to fucking lose my mind every 6 months.
I know. It's like Kanye West fucking up journalists and smashing their cameras. He doesn't give a fuck. It's like, all right, 150 grand or more.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah. It's whatever.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. So yesterday, I was telling you about this hat I'm wearing. It's a hat from a local organization called the Portland Diamond Project. And so yesterday I went to their open house they had. So if you've signed their petition and joined the movement or whatever, they invited all the people to come down to their little shop. And it was super cool, man. So it's, because you know about it, but I'll tell people who don't know. It's the organization to bring a Major League Baseball team to Portland. And so they've been going for about like 2 years now at the most, I think. Maybe
that sounds right.
And dude, it's like, it was so cool because they were doing like a marathon on the radio too. So they had the local 1080 sports AM radio station there. And so they're doing like a podcast basically all day with various people from the organization and like local people who are, like Northwest sports figures or whatever. And anyway, you got to hear them really explain the process and like how, it took a couple years to build all the infrastructure, get the funding, get the people on board, like Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks. Him and his wife are financial contributors and also like the kind of the public figures for it. And they have like a stadium picked out through the Port of Portland. Like they have property ready to go.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get the team, they're going to go break ground and build a stadium. And like the benefits of having this come to Portland is so immense. I mean, economically, it's going to even help with like the housing crisis because they're going to be providing so many like homes in that area and jobs at the same time. They're going to build an extra bridge across the river, more roads, and like 90% of it is already privately funded.
Wow.
It's so fucking rad.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear like what goes into it to bring a professional sports team to a city that it doesn't exist already.
Yeah, I can't imagine all the moving parts and shit. Ugh.
Dude, it's nuts, but it's really fascinating and it's very positive momentum. And so there's two ways it would happen. Either they would get an expansion team, which just basically means a brand new team.
Yeah.
So it'd be the Portland whatever, it's a brand new thing with the farm league supporting it. And that would be fun for its own reasons. But the other thing is if they just had an existing team move to Portland.
Oh, okay.
Which is probably more likely to happen.
Right.
The Oakland A's need a home. They're likely going to leave Oakland, it sounds like. Although I keep hearing different rumors on that.
Mm-hmm.
The Los Angeles Angels, which is my family's team, my team for the most part, them and the Mariners, they're looking for a new stadium, so they're probably going to move somewhere.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's like we're on the very short list to get a team. Vegas is looking for a team.
Right.
But they don't have what we have. We have basically the Portland Diamond Project is trying to make everything done and set up and make it really easy for the commissioner of baseball to just go, all right, fuck it, just send them a team. They're ready. They have the ballpark ready. They have.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like all the ducks are in a row before it's even.
It's so cool, man. I don't know, for people who don't care about baseball, it's probably not that interesting. But if you are interested in baseball, it's interesting, and it's also just like a civic net positive for Portland and the state of Oregon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but if it's overall a positive for the city, that's.
I could totally seeing you actually liking baseball more than you would imagine.
Yeah.
I think my experience is people that don't know that much about it, or at least like haven't gone to games with people that do know about it. They have a view on it that maybe could change.
Yeah. Well,
it's
like,
a lot of things like that.
I love kickball, and I think baseball got a lot of its rules from that. So
is that true?
Yeah. So there's that. I don't think so. No,
it's like
kickball's
from like the 1800s. Can you imagine there was like Civil War guys playing kickball?
That's my new character, the guy that runs around and thinks that kickball is like an ancient sport.
Yeah,
and baseball just ripped it off.
Well, it started in Europe in the 1500s, and
kickball's been around for like 5,000 years, dude.
Yeah, get with it. But anyone interested, go to the PortlandDiamondProject.com. Go sign the petition. The petition isn't for anything other than just giving the Major League Baseball more information. Like there's X amount of people who've signed this petition supporting the movement, but they don't need the petition. It's not like required for anything, but it can't hurt, right?
Yeah, not at all. I'll sign it.
Hell yeah, man. We actually have a couple of their stickers in the studio, and we would love to have one of the people in the organization come and talk about it. We'll sponsor them, or they could sponsor us rather.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We're down, man. But yeah, it was really fun, dude. They were super nice. They're giving out free beers and hot dogs, and there's t-shirts and fucking hats, and I mean, it's a whole thing. I keep seeing people with stickers on their cars around Portland, and once now you know about it, you'll see it more.
What I love right now is that in the guest chair in the studio is a backpack, and the microphone is almost up to the backpack, like the backpack is our guest.
Like, what do you think, backpack? Do you like baseball?
What are you thinking about that?
It's a little boring, but yeah, I like it.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. So did you watch the Lorraine?
Dude, I did. I forgot that I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I watched Leaving Neverland, so.
Oh, nice.
I did my homework. Fucked up.
Yeah.
Both are fucked. I don't know where to begin. Let's start with Lorraine.
God.
Since you just watched it.
Yeah, out of the...
You watched all of it?
I did. Okay. Yeah. Well, did I? Yeah, no, I did. It was harder for me to follow than... Like the R. Kelly one, I feel like I grabbed all that. Like
right.
Comprehension level 100. Leaving Neverland, same thing. The Lorena Bobbitt stuff...
I wonder are you a little too young, maybe?
Definitely a little of that.
You're 3 years younger than me, right?
Yeah. I remember it being a thing that was talked about a lot, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like the Joey Buttafuoco shit, the Amy Fisher, Joey Buttafuoco. Like I know those names. I vaguely know what happened, but in terms of...
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I think it was Joey was with...
From Backstreet Boys, Joey?
No. I don't even know what he did. He was just some like East Coast goon guy. I don't know. He was married to a woman and then ends up getting with this other woman, Amy Fisher. I could be slaughtering this. I have no idea. And then I think maybe it was Amy Fisher that Joey talked into going to his wife and killing her. He ends up shooting her in the face and she lives.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds familiar.
I think. And then at some point, Joey and Amy made a porno together.
Gotcha. So basically just like a vague story.
Yeah. But anyway, the Lorena Bobbitt shit is the exact same kind of... I knew almost the exact same amount. But yeah, it was interesting. I watched it on International Women's Day. I felt like that was appropriate. And I didn't know that... Because I kept hearing that the arc, like the story arc that made this so important was just the sort of the unveiling of kind of the uncommon news that he was very abusive.
Was a piece of shit. Dude, that was my thing, not to interrupt you, but that was my whole arc too. Yeah. Because I went into it similar for you. I remember it when I was a kid. I remember it happening. I remember late night, the Jay Leno's of the world making fun of it. And it was really just like a punchline for the time. This fucking guy got his dick chopped off. It was more like a funny thing. And I even remember thinking as a kid, and even the second I sat down to watch it, that it was more on the side that she was crazy.
Yeah, right.
And you kind of felt bad for this guy. Like, it doesn't matter what this fucking guy did. You don't chop a guy's dick off.
Well, yeah.
And technically that's still true, but...
Yeah. It was always funny to me how, like... Because, they show that clip. I think it's one of the craziest clips in the whole documentary of her on the Steve Harvey show. And he's just he's just making a fucking bit out of the fact that she disfigured this man's genitals.
Right.
And he's like, listen, you cut it off and all that, but...
And she's like just kind of sweet, and she's an immigrant. She's kind of like nodding along.
Yeah, exactly. She's just doing her time,
I know.
But it's like...
I thought Jordan Peele did a really good job
of
setting it up. Because the first episode, he makes you on his side.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way too? A little bit. You're like, yeah, he's kind of a scumbag, and I'm sure there's something that happened.
Listen, I've known a lot of women, some crazier than others, and I've had some do some insane shit.
Yep.
But to cut off my penis,
my God,
even I would have to, once the pain's down and all that shit, I would have to go, all right, what did I must have done something.
Yo, what did I fucking do? Because
that's a level of I don't give a fuck that came from somewhere.
Right.
So she had to have endured some shit. I'm not saying it isn't possible that she's not just fucking crazy, and it was incredibly unwarranted.
Sure.
I have known women that if you say the most minuscule thing that they
set you off.
They can blow the fuck up for sure. But
with this one, there was a lot of like personal stories and facts going behind the fact that all of that stuff did happen to her.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty, and you can just tell when people are lying or not. It was so like the sobbing, telling the story. It seemed pretty legit. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And then all the history of him being arrested numerous times after that for beating and raping women.
Yep.
It was like all the same story.
And even the way that
it just seemed too likely.
If you follow somebody's like lineage, like their steps after, they're like proclaiming their innocence, watch what they do afterwards. And I mean, this guy is like,
I know,
getting involved with like, he's
porn,
trying to be involved in porn and
bunny
like
ranch.
Yeah, he's just running around doing the kind of shit that somebody that would like physically assault a wife and
Yeah, it was fucking brutal because I mean, I watched it with my wife Ashley, and the first episode I'm more or less defending him more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not exclusively, but I'm under the impression that it doesn't matter what he did. If he was a scumbag, because at one point they say like the media kept saying this in the 90s, that she was upset that he wouldn't return the favor in sex, and so she would go without having an orgasm.
Oh, right.
They kept saying that over and over and over.
Well, listen, if that's an offense worth getting your dick cut off, you know how many dickless dudes there are going to be?
Everyone.
Yeah.
99.9% of men. But so like I was just kind of on that rant, and then I remember just midway through the series just going like, okay, fuck him.
Yeah,
he's
for
fucking
real.
Anally raping this girl over and over, and it's complicated shit, man. She was a fucking immigrant. She's tiny, and then they explain, because everyone always asks the same thing with victims. It's the same thing over and over, like, why don't they leave? Why don't they do something?
Mm-hmm.
And it's more complicated than that. Like she was very Catholic, very religious. Where's she from? It was like Peru or Guatemala or something.
That sounds
like that.
right, yeah.
Latin America or middle, I don't know, somewhere around there.
Central?
Yeah, Central America, middle. Well, I'm a fucking idiot. Central America. And yeah, just like the whole, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
She told her whole family, like, yeah, I met this Marine. He was a soldier in America, and he's the love of my life. It's embarrassing.
Well, not to mention, like,
and he fucking said he would kill her.
Right. And when things get really violent, I think a lot of people are like, well, he hit you, so you turn around, you face the door, and you walk out. But they're not thinking about, there's a lot of gaslighting happening.
Yep.
There's a lot of, like, verbal manipulation, emotional manipulation.
Tons.
That's a huge part of people that are physically abusive. They are, more often than not, also emotionally abusive, and that's like the R. Kelly shit. He's not just raping women. He's also telling them, like, I'm the only one that's here for you, and it's a package deal. Like, you're just full psychopath sometimes.
The best example of that is Michael Jackson. So we can just go ahead and transition into that.
Yeah.
Leaving Neverland. My God. I mean, that was like the definition of grooming.
Yeah.
Because it's not just grooming his victims. He was grooming the family, the parents, the friends. I mean, families would move across the world to come live with Michael Jackson, and he'd promise them everything. Yep. And it's not like it's just some guy grooming. I mean, it's different if, you know, someone's uncle is molesting the niece or something. That's fucked up. That's so evil and fucked. But it's a different degree of power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure this person looks up to their uncle, and to them, they mean a lot to them. But this is Michael fucking Jackson.
Yeah.
Arguably the most famous person to ever walk the earth.
Oh, yeah. Loved by the world.
Beloved by the world, man. And especially then.
Oh, yeah.
He was a walking god. And, dude, God, what a fucked up documentary that was.
I was blown away just at how much time he had to be such a prolific pedophile.
Yeah.
Like that blew my mind, because I'm like, you have world tours and like sold out dates left and right, and then weeks in the studio, and then all of this media and commercials, and how do you have all this time to like tell little boys to play with your nipples and shit?
Yeah,
so I mean, weird.
It just proves that he has more time than you'd think.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of in between, you know, because guys like that, I mean, he definitely toured a lot and he played, you know, live a lot, but it's not the same as like a rock band, you know, Deftones or some, you know, old school rock band. They have to hit the road a lot and have to grind it out. He goes and plays in front of, you know, 100,000 people and does a couple weeks and then goes home. Yeah,
true.
You know, and just sits there and collects money from Thriller. That guy is just so obscenely rich.
I think one of the grossest things about the documentary are all the people that are, you know, that were his aides. Like they were helping him around. Like I know one of his primary maids, like his head maid, his head like house cleaner, whatever. She took care of the property at Neverland. She's coming out now and she's trying to get her piece of the money pie.
Yep.
And it's like, how are you not culpable? Like she actually admits to like covering for Michael Jackson and getting paid an extra $300.
Right.
Because she saw some sketchy shit and didn't say anything. And it's just nuts to me that people can be not only that dumb to come out and talk about it, but then expect and sometimes receive some sort of reward for doing so.
And the parents. I mean, how the fuck?
That's tough.
Do you let your 7-year-old child sleep in the bed with some guy?
That parental naivete was almost on par with fucking, what's that documentary we were blown away by? Netflix, abduction something.
Abducted in Plain Sight.
Yes,
that one. Yeah, totally.
Those parents
very similar. Yeah.
Were naive to a point that was like, I legitimately couldn't believe it.
But they were groomed.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, they were next level because it's like
literally fucking him,
like actually helping him,
jacking the dude off the car, and like,
oh my god. But for anybody that hasn't seen Abducted in Plain Sight, go watch that.
Amazing.
Yeah, I would say
so crazy.
The most emotional I've ever gotten over a documentary was Abducted in Plain Sight, and then a tie would be Dear Zachary.
Dear Zachary's fucking...
Dear Zachary is like one...
I'm good. Never need to see that again.
No, it's one of the saddest fucking things I've ever seen.
Really good, though. Definitely worth watching the first time.
It's fantastic. It's really well... Which...
I know.
It needs to be well put together in order to be... Because could you imagine if it was that sad plus it was like...
I know.
Shitty.
Shitty.
That would be a torturous documentary to get through.
Yeah, I just thought... I mean, it's amazing. And it's not to say that there aren't questions... You know, Michael Jackson, I fucking adore his music. This is tough for me, bro. Like, I love his shit.
See, I got lucky because, like, I don't...
You don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, dude. For me, it's like... Which is so funny to me.
I thought he was Prince for, like, the last 20 years.
Yeah, you're, like, super... Like, this is my time of music, and I only like that time, right?
But where I get affected is I am a fucking nut job for The Weeknd. And The Weeknd is, I mean, if you listen to one song and you know that his biggest influence was Michael Jackson.
But would you like The Weeknd if it was from the 80s?
I mean...
Like, do you listen to anything before, like, 95?
I mean, one of my favorite albums of all time, Master of Puppets, came out the year I was born.
Oh, okay.
Mostly...
But it's more rock.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I listened to... Yeah, I didn't have any Michael Jackson that really fucking, grabbed me by the balls.
That's so weird.
But
that's so interesting. It's like huge for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I get it. And like, yeah, everyone's different how they process music. For me, he's just like one of the best ever of all time. I mean, top 3, like just amazing.
Yeah, you can't take away what he accomplished, musically.
Yay.
You know, it's tough. I have no issue with like the division of people and what people do. You know, like art.
I don't either, actually. And by the way, I think we're in the minority on that.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah, my wife is kind of annoyed and frustrated with me right now about that. She said something the other day like, it's so weird. We watched that documentary. As soon as I get in my fucking car, Michael Jackson's Bad comes on. And I just go, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I love that shit. And she's like, hello. I was like, oh, that's right, the documentary. Yeah. I mean, I was like, I still love his music. She's like, never mind.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
I'm like, what? I don't fucking.
It's not like you're listening to it and go like,
rapist.
Kid butts. Yeah, like it's a fucking song that it's getting your brain going. You're into it. You wouldn't. I don't know. I get the argument that if you support the music, you're supporting the estate.
Yeah.
Financially of a dude who did that, but like. Yeah. It's tough.
I know, but the tough
morality
thing
is such a bitch because it's like,
thing.
What do you? It's so subjective,
and it's all just a fucking competition of who's more moral than the other person. Look, motherfuckers, he died 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and it was happening 15 years ago before that. Yeah. More than that, 20 years, 25 years. Mm-hmm. What I mean, how is it all of a sudden the whole planet is expected to do a 180? Yeah, because one guy made a documentary.
Dude, here's a fun piece of shinfo. Wade, the Australian victim, who's like a choreographer.
Yep.
He's the one that broke up Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake.
Why?
They ended up.
They ended up.
Yeah,
dating?
He was doing choreography for Britney Spears.
Yeah.
They ended up dating briefly. Yeah. And she broke up with Justin Timberlake for him. And that's what the song by Justin Timberlake, Cry Me a River. Oh, shit. That shit's about Wade.
Wow.
How come the documentary didn't talk about that, dude?
Yeah, dude.
I
mean, look, even my wife and I were like, of those two guys, the two people claiming this happened to them, the one that seems fishier to me is Wade. Just by the way he talks and just the vibe.
Right.
I'm not saying it's a lie or whatever, but I don't know. The other guy seemed more just like, this is a bummer. This is what happened to me.
Well, yeah, the other guy too. And listen, everybody experiences trauma differently, and I understand that before I say this like stupid shit I'm about to say. I know. But the other dude, notice how we're calling him the other dude too, because
the other dude.
Wade actually stuck out to us.
Yeah.
I think his name was James, but he. Shattuck or
something like that.
It's a goofy ass last name.
I'll look it up.
He like sort of went away, like he wanted to isolate a little bit, and Wade like almost used it to like get his career going a bit, because when I saw that he was doing all right and then he talks about being molested by Michael Jackson, I was like, dude, then your career probably fell apart. And then it shows him like working with Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and I'm like, no, dude, your career is fucking flourishing.
Yeah.
I can't speak to whether or not that's because of him being molested by Michael Jackson. It's not like
Safe
he got
Chuck. Jimmy Safe Chuck.
Safe Chuck, that's right.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Wade got like some magic dust on him from those encounters, and then it like helped him fly through his career. But yeah,
didn't hurt.
I feel what you're saying, dude. The weirdest thing was that Michael Jackson kept hitting up Wade and being like, "What's Britney Spears like?"
Yeah.
And like had this like mild obsession with her and like wanted to like meet her. For all we know, that was just an excuse to get closer to Wade too. But,
here's kind of something that was like an overwhelming like epiphany for me when I was watching it, because look, I'm a very skeptical person, and people get mad at me when I say stuff like this, but victim blaming and victim shaming is horrible.
Yeah.
Let's just put that out there. But the whole like believe everyone, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah, that's not cool.
It's horseshit. It doesn't even make any sense if you're a logical person.
Yeah.
I mean, that just makes sense.
I mean, if that's legit, then Donald Trump raped me and I won $1 million.
Exactly. I mean,
you have to believe me.
You have to believe me.
Yeah.
It's nonsense, obviously. But and an equal evil is faking something like that. like the Jussie Smollett.
Jussie.
That is morally evil.
Yeah.
Because you're ruining someone's life. You're straight up ruining someone's life.
And Jussie's one of the first fucking boys who cried wolf that's actually getting some sort of penance.
Yeah, he will likely go to prison for this now.
Yeah, and I hope that becomes a standard.
Me too. It's a huge lesson for people. So anyway, I go into these things as open as I possibly can, and I ask questions, and I'm challenging things when it comes up. But then something starts occurring to me, and this is the truth. You can't argue this. Whether or not, let's just for the sake of argument, taking the rape accusations and the sexual abuse that he did to these kids and other kids, and let's just put that away and lock it up in a shelf or a cupboard. But lock it, throw away the key. That's off the table now. Now, what is left? What is left, and you can't deny this, is that Michael Jackson still fucking hung out with little children way too often.
Yes.
And slept in the same bed with little kids that weren't his own. That is a fact. That is provable evidence. You look through the 30 years of his career, longer than that, and everywhere he goes, he's got a little boy next to him. Why did the whole world just go like, hey, why the 7-year-old?
Yeah.
What are you doing with this kid? What are you doing holding hands with an 8-year-old boy that's not yours?
Dude, he liked little boy butts so much that he got like his own fucking sidekick monkey. He got a cotton candy maker. He got a fucking roller coaster.
Dude.
I mean, I don't like anything enough to fucking get my own roller coaster.
I actually think it's sadder than that. I don't think that he was enticing. I mean, he was subconsciously.
I think it was like a sickness. He was creating his fantasy world.
That's it. Yeah. I think he is a kid. And he's like, it's like taking a little kid that never grew up because he was just savagely abused as a kid himself, sexually, physically, mentally. Just his dad was a piece of dog shit.
He clearly had like heavy dysmorphia,
body dysmorphia. The guy was a fucking wreck.
Yeah.
And so you have this like mental capacity of a child.
Yeah.
But then the hormones of a grown man.
Well, that's the issue I had, though, is that I remember, because I thought about this exact thing when he kept saying, no, I would never hurt a child.
Right.
I could never hurt a child.
Thought that.
However, he would also tell these children, I mean, of course, this is according to the victims. According to the victims, he would say things like, if you tell your mommy and daddy, we will both go to prison. Yeah. So that preemptive shit, he's grooming the child.
He knew that at least.
He knew what he was doing was wrong. But
yeah,
I guess it's possible that in his heart he was like, I'm not doing anything to hurt these children.
He would also say things like, we'll get in trouble, but it's because they don't understand.
Right.
They don't understand our love. He would cap it off with things like that.
And either he's truly sick and truly believes that, or he knows that that's bullshit, and then it has kind of like a more evil kind of tinge to it.
Right.
Either way, it's a sad fucking thing.
And then no one wins in those
and then
situations.
The onus falls on the parents who shit the fucking bed.
Oh my God.
Like, hey, can Lil Wade sleep with me tonight?
Nope.
And the mom is like you should say no before that fucker finishes the sentence.
Yeah, no and bye.
Hey, do you think for just one night Wade could? No, thank you.
Nope.
Not happening.
And the problem is that, both of those moms, both of the sets of parents, both adored Michael Jackson.
Right.
And he groomed them as well. And he had them come over and sleep at his house.
Yeah.
So they were all part of it. They all loved this guy. I mean, one of the moms says that she thought of him as her other son.
I remember that, yeah.
And so if your son, if someone you love, says, hey, we're going to have a little slumber party, it's different. You're like, well, okay. It's just family. It is a little weird, but it's just family.
It for sure. It wasn't the most shocking documentary I ever saw. However, it was the one that I felt the most compelled to shower after watching.
Yeah.
I felt disgusted by everybody. Everybody on the fucking TV. I'm just like, you are all a mess. Some of them are a mess because they've been victimized, and others are perpetrators, but everyone's a fucking mess.
And it's really interesting how, did you watch the Oprah interview that she did with the two guys, the director, and then everyone in the audience?
I didn't.
Like sexual abuse victims. It was actually really interesting. It's up on YouTube now.
I'll check that out.
On HBO, like right next to the
documentary.
documentary.
Yeah.
And whatever, Oprah is what it is, but it was actually really well done because she was really badly abused when she was a kid too by like 3 family members. Mm-hmm. She got it pretty bad. But it was really like revealing and shined a lot of light on typical things that happen to people that are abused. There's a pattern, and I learned a lot from it. You know, it's pretty nuts. Like the questions a lot of people have are like, well, why didn't they say anything? And then why did they even defend him? Like both of those guys went and defended Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
which is crazy to even imagine. But
I know,
you know, you can go well into your adulthood and not process that abuse as in your childhood, because you don't see it like that. It's removed.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not bad when you're a kid. That's also hard for people to understand, that it's not necessarily painful. It's not necessarily misery for these kids.
Well, and similar to the John Wayne Bobbitt shit, Michael Jackson was not just touching these kids and then taking off. He was spending copious amounts of time grooming them and
taking them around the world,
emotionally manipulating them. And dude,
that fake wedding,
maybe the sickest shit in the whole fucking documentary is one of the kids talking about how they would walk around in public holding hands.
Yeah.
And if they each scratched each other's like palm, the inside, while they're holding hands so no one can see it, that was a secret signal for I'm thinking sexual thoughts.
Vomit.
Dude. That is, like, if that isn't grooming, I don't know what the fuck is.
I know.
You are getting the kid to not just behind closed doors kind of fucking grimace and take some shit that he doesn't like because you're Michael Jackson. He's actually like volunteering that he's getting those urges or receiving your urges and reciprocating in fucking public with their mother and father 6 feet behind them as you guys walk through Disneyland crazy. Or whatever.
And they're so young that like, this is both of those people. It's both of their, that's their first time with sex. So it's, you know what I mean? That's how they establish
I got to quit watching this shit because it is going to turn me into a nut job father.
I know.
I'm going to be fucking crazy.
I know. It's nuts. It shows too a lot has changed with how we think about this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like Brian Callen was telling a story the other day about how he was molested when he was like 15 or something, like a summer camp thing. And they were laughing their fucking asses off. And Brian was like, this is my favorite story. And he's like excited to hear it again. And they're like roasting him for it.
Whose story was this?
Brian Callen.
Oh, yeah.
But he says something about how his parents and the kid that he was with, another friend, both of their parents find out about it. And they confront the guy that did it. And the only thing that happened to this guy was that he got reassigned to a different camp.
Yep.
Like he didn't go to jail or anything.
Dude.
And he said, yeah, my parents didn't really care all that much. My dad was actually more mad at me.
Yeah.
He was like, well, next time punch him in the dick.
Right. Yep.
And Brendan Schaub just kept like pulling his hair out. He's like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't your parents do something this or do that? And he's like, dude, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And Brendan was just doing what he does. He's like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I would do this with my kid. I would do that. And he's like, Brandon, I hear you. I'm 51. You're 35. We come from 2 different planets.
Yes. Yeah.
In the 70s, this wasn't a thing. It was, but it just wasn't processed the same way. We didn't know about that.
Well, and the whole thing helps me realize just how, because we all go through life thinking everyone had the same life we did.
Right.
Like,
I know.
And I had an incredibly protective mother to the point where when I was like 5, 6, I was going to like this daycare, like preschool situation thing. Like it's just before kindergarten. And I was fucking insane. Like I would bounce off the walls. I had insane energy.
Yeah.
And the teachers didn't know what to do with me. So there were multiple times they actually tied my hands together.
Oh my God.
And my mom didn't know. I didn't know that was a thing that couldn't happen. So I never even thought to tell my mom. So I'm like, I'm running around and my mom yells at me while I'm in the house one day. And I walk up to her and I put my wrists together. Kind of like, all right, tie me up.
My God.
That's what, and she goes, what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing, kid?
And I was like, well, like teacher just ties my shit up. My mom had this look in her eyes Like,
oh my God.
I'm about to do 20 to 25 in prison because I am going to go to this school.
God. How old were you when you told her?
This was like 5 years old, I would say.
Jesus.
And all I remember is she didn't take me with her, obviously, but she went to the school and she came back. And I felt like when I went to, because I was like, I'm probably never going to go to that school again.
Right.
I went the following Monday and I was fucking king of Vancouver, Washington. Like, they treated me so amazing because they knew what kind of mother I had. They knew that she was going to come crack skulls if anything went down again.
So they didn't fuck with you.
Yeah. And so I see these moms that are like, yeah, Michael Jackson just wanted my kid for a year. So I was like, yeah, that should probably be fine. I think about what my mom would say.
I know.
I mean, she'd go full fucking Mankind and Undertaker from fucking Hell in the Cell or whatever. Just pile driver from the top of a cage.
Like you did for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit out of your car.
When evil Alan was trying to steal from me.
Well, yeah, I think about that too. I mean, I had such a great childhood, so protected, and my parents didn't fuck around either. Mm-hmm. But also, I was really lucky that I came from such a large family.
Right.
That there wasn't really a lot of like babysitters. I don't remember really any fucking babysitters. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure my older sister or parents can correct me, but I don't remember any of that. I remember just, like my aunts and my grandma and just people in my family.
Yeah.
So we were always around people that, my parents trusted.
Yeah, that was the other thing is it was just, family was such a big thing that if there was always enough people in mind to, like, you could rely on each other.
Yep.
The thing is, though, like, you look at it years later and most perpetrators, like, know the victim. So yes. it is typically family.
That was the thing in the Oprah interview.
Yeah.
It's like, it's overwhelming. It's like almost 100%.
Right.
It's pretty rare.
I know, dude. It's so crazy. The older I get, the more I realize how lucky I am that I didn't go through something like that because it seems like everybody did.
So many people.
Like just an overwhelming amount of people.
I think the stat for men is 1 in 5 men will be molested.
Wow.
Or, boys up until men.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I didn't even like have close calls, to be honest. I definitely had, there were like people within my life that I would get a weird vibe from, where I'm like, oh, you for sure are like, you're a bad guy for sure. But I was always really smart about like staying away. We had outdoor school in 6th grade and one of the counselors was real sketchy. I could just fucking smell it on him. And so I just, wherever he was, I was on the opposite side of the property, like, as often as possible. But
unreal.
Yeah, very lucky.
Unreal stuff. So those are those two. Oh, so this got me thinking. I watched a documentary last night and it got me thinking about not really a segment we can do, but just sort of a topic that we can discuss on the show. So I watched a thing, what was it called? So it's called Low Desert. And it's a documentary about the California desert music scene, desert rock. Like Queens of Stone Age dudes.
Oh, okay.
Eagles of Death Metal, Fu Manchu, Caius, that whole stoner desert rock.
Yeah.
And they're all bands that had played with each other and have been in different bands with each other, just like any scene.
Right.
But it's so unique and has its own very sludgy, down-tuned sound. I don't know if you know who Caius is, but it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Almost like the Melvins, but even harder. And obviously you know what Queen's Stone Age is. But yeah, anyway, I like a lot of those bands, especially Queens, Eagles of Death Metal. And it was just so fascinating because because I lived in La Quinta, California, which is in Coachella Valley out in the desert.
Oh, okay.
And it's, I don't really know how far from LA, maybe 5-6 hours, maybe more even. So it's still California, Southern California, but it's so far east that you are in the fucking desert. Where it's 100 degrees every day. There's just open space of fucking desert with road runners, these like weird bighorn sheep up in the mountains.
Oh, that's
it's
sick.
The craziest place to grow up ever. And it's, like full of really rich like retirees, a lot of golf, fucking old people, tennis and golf.
Dude.
And that's like it.
Yeah.
Rolls Royce, Lexus, and then this whole subculture of these little punk rock shit kids. They're just seething around the desert playing in bands. And this started in like the late 80s, early 90s. And, there's nowhere to play. There's no venues. So they're basically like redneck kids that played in punk bands that would, they would start out where they do what we all do. They play in people's garages or whatever, house parties. and it would get shut down instantly by the police because they fucking hated these rocker kids. Because again, it was all like this Frank Sinatra vibe. Actually, Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, that they like settled that area in the 30s and 40s, and it was like real swingy dingy, like bourbon sipping, that kind of vibe.
And so this other shit was just nonsense and noise.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember that vibe, man. It was like that's where my grandparents lived, and then we went and moved there too because my dad got work out there. But there was nothing for kids to do there, nothing at all.
Yeah.
And so these bands would try the best they could to play these shows, and they just kept getting shut down. So they started to play what are called generator parties out in the fucking middle of nowhere in the desert.
Dude, that's badass.
They'd set these generators up, and they'd have like just ditches in the desert, just holes that they'd fill with concrete so people could skateboard.
Dude.
And it was like 2 hours out in the desert, and they would just, like a ton of fucking people. You can look it up. There's videos of Queens of the Stone Age playing 91.
I'm filled with jealousy right now.
So, and it was like, that is the coolest scene ever. Pretty like degenerate shit.
Yeah.
Like hard drugs and fucking shooting guns out there. Just complete American freedom. Anyway, really fascinating. Highly recommend it. But it also got me thinking of like that sound that they have is because of the place they grew up, the place that they come from.
Mm-hmm.
And these scenes are reflections of the environment. I mean, the reason it sounds like that is because they're from this place.
Yeah.
Like, Queens has a very, like, I mean, it is kind of twangy, almost like country desert.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's also expansive and like lone wolf, just like the desert has.
Right.
But it also has like a bit of like crooner, like, he slicks his hair back and it's like cool guy rock.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because of the Sinatra vibe.
So what was for you, in your opinion, what was the Hillsborough sound then?
Like, so I mean, it's all the same. It just got me thinking of all the scenes. Hillsborough's like, we're not from Oregon.
Right.
We never said it growing up. We're not from Portland.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Portland was.
Yeah.
You're from Hillsborough. It's just the west side till you die.
Right.
Hillsborough is just a reflection of like every suburb in America, but wetter and darker.
Yeah.
And it also had like essays. It was kind of a really prominent Mexican culture out there.
Right. Yeah,
so
that is true.
A lot of like white skater kids butting heads with Mexican essay kids.
Yeah, because I've always had this fucking issue that you're kind of like, you're helping me realize right now that I am terrible about like doing exactly what you're doing right now, where you're taking an environment and then like building this like identity around it. I've always felt like the way that I grew up, I wasn't in an area. I was in Brush Prairie, Washington,
right?
Which I think it's like 500 people in that city. It's a mile long. Yeah. It's nothing.
Yeah.
But I always felt like there was no identity to draw from that.
I see.
Like the desert and shit like that. Right. Like that has driving 2 hours.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like it's this weird thing where I feel like I need to have had more of a plight growing up than I did.
Gotcha.
And because I didn't, my childhood was fucking dumb and like not cool enough or whatever.
But it was good in its own way. I mean,
and listen, it had its fucking challenges. Like,
yeah.
I was not kicking it like SoCal style where, like there are those kids that like their parents are rich as shit and so they have everything they want, but it's also a lonely life because they're in these fucking housing developments. There's nothing going on. But it's like kids like me would like growing up in a trailer and I'm just like, yo, then give me your quote unquote sad life. I'll fucking trade you right now. So it's this weird, I'm in this horrible fucking purgatory of my shit wasn't that great to brag about it, but it wasn't bad enough to bitch about it.
Right.
Which is like the worst shit ever.
That's
like, where the fuck did my motivation come from?
Well, for you, it probably happened later, like in your 20s when you got out of that area. Yeah. That's when your bands did better.
I mean, I started in bands when I was like 14 and I just don't remember ever in my entire life being more motivated than honestly, like for the band, it was like 14 to like 25.
Right.
So like 11 solid years of this is the most important thing.
Well, so for you, the lack of scene was your inspiration.
Yeah, true.
The lack of that.
Yeah, just the interest of like where, because I've told you before that Portland, Oregon to a kid from Brush Prairie, Washington was like fucking Broadway.
Manhattan. Yeah,
I was just like, how do we break into Portland, Oregon? So for me, it was kind of like, where does this go? I didn't know about the Portland music scene when I started. And
it was for Hillsborough kids too. Like Portland was so big and far away.
Yeah.
But I think Hillsborough has a few things. It's big enough that there was a lot of us.
Yeah.
Right? There was a gang of us. And so it had its own scene, own shows that would support each other and a family of bands. And skateboarding was really big, especially the time I grew up in. But with all of that said, it also had the weather that we all know here. It's fucking miserable. True. And so you're watching 411 skate videos, you're watching NoFX play, and you want to be that, but then you go outside and it's 45 and it's pouring rain.
I know.
It's dark. So what does everyone do? They start a band. So it came a lot from like, we had no other option, so I don't know, it had a sound too. It's like really, I don't know, kind of like pop rock, not like snappy pop rock, but I don't know, like we loved Weezer and Superdrag, bands like that.
Yeah.
And then it got a little bit more darker.
Did you guys ever play that bowling alley in Hillsborough?
All the time.
Four Seasons
That guy
Bowl?
Ryan, he used to work there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Right here across the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to play all the time. That was one of
that
like,
might
the
be how we got
play.
booked so often.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Because he was also buddies with some buddies of ours in a band called All I Ask.
Yeah, I remember that.
He would book them all the time, and I think they asked us out for a show. I think we headlined it, sort of.
Right.
And we got like $400, and all we did was play to like 30 people that were annoyed that we were there because they were trying to bowl and just have fun.
Right.
It wasn't like a proper show, but it was a blast. They had like that floating like drum riser just out on the lane.
It was so much fun, man. I loved playing that. There was some really big shows there.
Yeah, we loved it.
Hillsborough too, in the time I grew up in, at least, there was a lot of like, I mean, every suburb probably has this, but there's a lot of like groups of people, like almost gangs. Like me and my people called us the boys. They just referred to us as the boys. And that would be like 8 or 9 of us.
Right.
And we wouldn't go anywhere without each other. I mean, like literally nowhere without each other. And we would show up at the same time. And if we all didn't get there, it's saying we'd wait in our car until everyone got there.
Oh, that's
And then we'd come in the house party.
Dude, straight up gang.
You would fuck everything up if you didn't do it that way. Well, dress the same, talk the same, look the same.
Dude, that's crazy.
We go to house parties and then just hang out with each other.
What was the cast? It was like you, me, Crummett, Stefan.
Actually, Crummett and Stefan were like auxiliary. They're on the side of the boys.
Okay.
But like me, Andrew. Andrew used to produce the show.
Okay, yeah.
Josh Northcutt, Dylan Jensen, Joe Rude.
So you were closer with Josh before you were with Stefan and Crummett?
Yeah, especially before Crummett, because I didn't meet Crummett until 8th grade.
Oh, okay.
But I knew Stefan and Josh in 6th grade, maybe even a little before.
I gotcha.
I met Josh outside. My buddy David Soderberg was another one outside like his driveway. Him and David were playing basketball, and I was rollerblading because I had just moved there from California, so like bleached blonde hair.
Yeah.
And I just kept passing the driveway, trying to get their attention.
Yeah.
And eventually Josh threw a basketball at me, so that's how I met him.
You were just waiting for him to be like, dude, sick blades. You want a ball?
Josh was like my kid friend. Like we do like skateboarding and like more dude stuff.
Yeah.
And Stefan was the kid that I could talk to music about.
Yeah.
Stefan was like pure music always. He didn't give a fuck. He never once touched a skateboard. He didn't care about partying. He didn't care about girls. He didn't care about any of that shit ever. It was just music all day, always.
So
he would literally walk around Hillsborough with a guitar and a pocket amp. And he wore the same thing every day. He was like shitty jeans or shitty corduroy pants and like a Nirvana t-shirt or 9 Inch Nails or like Marilyn Manson, something of that nature.
This is Stefan you're talking about?
Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, and then he'd wear this red and black flannel. Anyone that knows what I'm talking about. He wore that flannel for like 5 years straight.
I mean, I've never met...
Like every day.
I've never met a less given a fuck dude than Stefan.
He once wore the same pair of red, mismatched red ankle socks for like a month straight.
It's funny because
he was disgusting.
Like red socks is bad enough. Then they're ankle socks, and you're like, Jesus Christ. And then they're mismatched.
Yeah, they're not even the same pair. So there's so many questions. Yeah, he was just a disgusting little kid that only wanted to play.
What you're saying is he's the Lance Armstrong of terrible fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
He just owns that market.
Owns it, man.
Mismatched red ankle socks.
Stephen was born to produce, too. It's all he cared about.
Dude, I mean, you meet him and you're just like, yeah, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
You're clearly doing what all Stephen wants to do is hang out with dudes.
Yeah.
Do dudely shit, eat pizza.
Drink a gallon of, he likes the chocolate milk that comes in like the gallon jug.
I mean, that's pretty much the same kid as when he was 11. Nothing's really changed. He's just doing it professionally now.
My favorite, like, quick anecdote, one of them with Stefan was we were recording with him when do you remember the band Server X?
Fuck yeah, I remember the band Server X.
He was in Ron's garage.
Dude, Ron Lyles, he battled cancer.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think he's still kind of doing it, but he's doing really well now. Anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah. I have a fucking hilarious story about Ron specifically, too. He taught me what it was like to get fucking taken advantage of, I guess, in the scene. Like, he taught me to, like, kind of fucking keep my guard up.
Ron?
Yeah.
He was a good guy that way.
Yeah. It was nice of him to teach me that way.
Real goofball, but super nice.
Anyway, so we're just recording, and our bassist Colin is, like, laying against the wall, and he keeps, like, playing footsie with this stool that is kind of in front of him, and he's like rocking it back and forth with his foot.
Yeah.
And on it is a gallon jug of just like water. There was one of the dudes in our band. It belonged to them, and he's going like this. And I'm talking to Stefan about like the sound we want for the drums or whatever. And he keeps like he's looking at Colin doing it, but he's not looking at me. But he's just going, yeah, no, totally, yeah, we could do that. But he's staring at Colin the whole time, and then finally Colin tips it a little too much one way. And it falls, and as it's sliding off the stool, I'm talking to Stefan, and he cuts me off and just goes, yes, and it fucking lands right on Colin. He's like, fuck yeah, I've been waiting for that to happen. Like, he was just watching it, not listening to me, and just wanted Colin to get drilled by this thing so bad.
Yes, yeah, that is very
such a fucking kid.
Stefan's also one of those people, I don't say this lightly, he's probably the smartest person I've ever met.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that.
Mostly just because he has the best memory.
Yes, he does.
Dude, like crazy.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's weird.
Like Rain Man shit.
Yeah, and when he's accessing it, he has a face.
Well, because we've all talked about it. There is something going on there, whether it's like the, autism spectrum.
Yeah.
Or what's the other thing called?
Not Alzheimer's.
No, like it's more of a social thing.
Not Down syndrome.
Oh God.
Hold on. There's autism, and then there is.
Yeah.
Autism.
What's that called?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, yeah, just that the type of thing where like he can tell you exactly what happened in 1999.
Yeah.
On August 20th.
If you ever see
it's crazy.
If while he's talking to you, you see his middle finger and his ring finger just off to the side touching like this, he's accessing a portal in his brain.
Yep.
And if you guys are arguing about something, he's about to win.
He's about to smash you. And he was worse when he was young. I think he's intense now. Me and him would just like, I didn't talk to him for a year straight once.
Yeah.
At least.
That shit'll happen.
Yeah, man, that shit won't fucking happen. You grew up together like that.
Yep.
He was an outrageous guy. But yeah, so that was just how it was, man. It was like the boys were like intensely close to each other, and all we wanted to do is fuck and party.
Yeah.
And start shit and just be close and be with each other always. And Stefan was around that, but I don't think he understood it as much. He was more outside. The first day I met Chris Crummett, he was wearing an all like pea green suit with an orange tie, orange clown shoes, and his hair was dyed orange. That was 8th grade.
What the fuck?
And I was like, you're fucking the coolest guy ever, and also the weirdest. And I want to hang out with you. Yeah, we had jazz band together. That's how we met.
God. He just walks in looking like Les Claypool's son.
The craziest shit ever. And he was like the coolest kid because he was a single kid. He doesn't have any siblings. And his dad was like the only person other than Stefan's dad that had a drum set, but also in addition to what Stefan's dad had, he had like a full studio. Back then, it really was probably just like a 4-track and some microphones, but I remember it as being a full studio. But
dude, how dope on the aging front is Stefan's dad?
It's insane.
It makes no sense.
He looks like he's 25.
Yeah. Oh, what's up? You're Stefan's brother? Cool. Nice to meet you.
He's never drank. Fuck. Stefan's drank more than his dad has, and Stefan never drinks.
Yeah, true.
Probably drinks once a year, maybe twice a year at the most, and that's a new thing. I mean, he didn't drink all through high school and early 20s. We couldn't get him to do nothing, but he would hit party harder than anyone.
Yeah,
he would stay everyone 5 a.m. when everyone's falling over puking. He was still just fucking eating Doritos and talking shit. There's just no off switch for him.
Dude, no, he's got like a fucking baboon heart or some shit.
Yeah, but that's why he can do what he does. That's why he can sit in the pocket for 12 hours with a band from Utah who's playing speed metal over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
You just out hang you. You know, I need alone time. I need to get the fuck away from it.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I need to recharge. Dude, the introvert in me needs to recharge its batteries sometimes.
Yeah, dude. We got to wrap this thing up. You got to go, man.
Yeah, I got a sweet night ahead of me.
Can we do a couple currents movie pick and get out of here?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. Well, we were talking about the Jussie Smollett thing.
Yeah.
Just to recap that, he is getting hit with a 16-count felony indictment by the grand jury.
Fuck yeah.
So that's going to grand jury, man. Felony shit. So that's that. We don't need to go too much.
Bye, bro.
See ya. This is interesting. There was the biggest 3D printer ever. Actually, do you want to pull it up in your thing?
Yeah.
Is that easier? Okay. If people can hear, apparently there's a band playing down here now. I'm sure you've heard the bass for a while. We try to coordinate it where they're not playing, but there you go. They're playing right now. A 3D printed home can be constructed for under $4,000. It's the largest 3D printer.
I guess it doesn't matter. The TV's not working.
Oh, yeah. It can be built in less than 24 hours at a cost of only $4,000.
Oh, that's the home that this 3D printer made. Wow.
This 3D printer's like pumping out concrete in the design that is chosen to do. They can help families living in poverty and unsafe conditions. News Story Housing Charity Organization and Icon, a construction tech company, have partnered together. Their goal is to end global homelessness. Pretty interesting though, right?
Yeah, did it say...
That's crazy. I mean, that's basically it, but yeah.
It said the price. Did it say like how quickly and like with how many people?
Well, it said in less than 24 hours.
Less than 24 hours.
I mean, once the design, you know.
Yeah.
But that's pretty, I mean, that's, how big do you think that is? About 500 square feet. It's really small.
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
It's a 600 square feet.
Yeah, I'd say 600, yeah.
So it's like a big bedroom.
Yeah, it's a fucking studio.
It's a little studio, but it, you know, they put a little awning and a little porch outside. It's fine.
It's no frills, but it looks great.
It's like what I first lived in my early 20s. I mean,
yeah.
It's doable, man. And look, if you're super poor, it's better than the street.
Yeah, if you're comparing it to the street, it's a 10.
Dude. Yeah, and it's just, I mean, think of like all the things that means, not just for this home and homelessness, but
yeah.
A printer, things that, I just imagine what they can start doing now.
Mm-hmm.
It's also kind of crazy, like, is the construction industry in real trouble coming up here? It's kind of not, because I know enough about it, but...
Right.
But I mean, if you fast forward 80 years from now, you would assume that they could do this for a skyscraper.
Yeah, you would think
right?
so.
Arenas, and I mean, why not just prefab all, just print all of the concrete structure out.
That's a good point. I wonder if there are limitations too.
Right.
Like pound for pound, what is this up against, like a traditional structure, like a comparable structure right next to it that's built the old-fashioned way?
Well, way crazy. But even the way it is now, really big commercial buildings, a lot of the concrete walls and the columns and stuff like that are prefabbed. They're poured. The concrete's poured in a different location.
Oh, okay.
And they'll deliver them that way, and they'll just tilt up the wall, or they'll even just pour it on the ground. Like the wall, instead of up, it'll be down on the ground. They'll pour it all like that, let it cure, and they'll just lift it up. So they can do all of that just out in the corner of a site or somewhere else and just ship all this stuff pre-done. It's just crazy how fast this stuff can
go.
What a time to be alive.
I mean, I'm down for this because near me, I've got straight homeless camps.
I know.
And those are an eyesore and,
Fuck, I'd be willing to pay $4,000 for these homeless people. Like, I'll buy you a house. Just don't set up a tent in front of my front yard.
For real, yeah.
So there's that. And then I had, this is a huge bummer. So warning to people, this is a sad one. A Florida student shoots and kills herself in school auditorium after asking to use the bathroom. That happened today.
Wait, she said, can I use the bathroom?
Yeah, first thing in the morning. It's 7:30 in the morning. She comes into work, or school rather, and says, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. And then they hear a gunshot. They put the school in lockdown, and they go in the auditorium, and this kid is dead with the gun in her hand. No one was around. There's camera. They checked. She did it.
Is there footage of the shot?
I didn't get that far, but, I'm sure there's cameras everywhere in schools today.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it very clear, like, the investigation was done and it is apparent suicide or something like that.
Damn.
I know, man. Imagine being, like, the parents, like, God.
Yeah.
This sucks. I mean, you're so young. You don't know any better. You know how fucking dumb I was at that age?
Yeah.
And, like, your emotions are just not fully developed yet. It's too bad.
I know. I sort of felt that way with the recent suicide of Brody Stevens.
I know.
That was a huge bummer as well because it's just...
Jesus, man.
And I didn't even know him personally. No. Like, I love a lot of comedians that did know him.
Exactly, me too. That's how I just...
Very well. And it's just, I can't imagine being a comedian in the scene and, like... I remember I checked his Twitter, like, the moment that I found out that he was dead. I didn't know if it was a hoax or some shit.
Yeah.
Checked his Twitter, and, like, one day prior, he was like, I'm so excited to do a couple of these festival dates that I have coming up. So, like, he, as recently as 24 hours ago, is looking forward to his future. Mm-hmm. And then within 24 hours of that, like, very positive kind of message, he hangs himself. It's just... It's so impossible to know.
I know
when it's just enough for somebody to finally go through with it, and
I think about that too. Like,
and you can't talk to him once they're gone.
Chris Cornell was on mid-tour, playing arenas, and he's filthy rich. I mean, he's the singer of Soundgarden.
Yeah,
and you would think that would be enough, or whatever that means.
I know. Yeah. Sometimes circumstances just don't matter.
It doesn't matter at all.
There's a chemical imbalance, and you are just unhappy.
It's a bummer. Me and my friend, like Stefan and those dudes, we know a guy named Sean that we all knew in high school, and then for maybe 5 or 6 years after that, I think he was like mid-20s, maybe even late 20s. Anyway, one of the nicest people I've ever met. He was like the guy at Century High School in Hillsborough that united everyone. He was kind of like that popular leadership kid that typically you would hate.
Oh, right.
Like, kind of preppy. And that's actually how I first met him. I used to fucking talk shit to him. And then he literally sat down with me, because me and my friends, the boys, we had nothing to do with that world. And he was like a uniter. He would unite like us with the Mexican Vato kids who picked fights with us and all my punk rock friends. And like, he was the nicest guy ever, and then he became more of our friend and would like go to parties with us and stuff. And he killed himself.
Oh man!
Like more than 5 years ago. It was a while ago now.
Jeez.
He jumped off the fucking Goose Hollow Bridge. They call it the Suicide Bridge.
Oh right.
But now they have big fences on it.
Wow.
Yeah, he did it like 3 a.m. or something.
Sometimes I think about how I would do it if I felt like I was going to do it.
I know.
Which I never really have, but I feel like...
I'm sure everyone's kind of thought about it.
How are pills not the way to do it? Like, isn't that... I mean, that's totally how like a 1950s
You'd be surprised
housewife
how
would do it.
Unsuccessful it is.
Really? Yeah.
Because how do you know? I mean, you'd have to go so above... Right? If 10 Vicodin is a dangerous level, you have to take 1,000.
Yeah.
Because if you take 100, you surprisingly could live through it.
Yeah.
And then now not only are you sick as shit in the hospital, but your liver's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, not you know what I mean?
Yeah,
People
true.
shoot themselves in the face. and they do it wrong, and now they blow their fucking cheek off.
But like fentanyl,
that'll do it.
You get some fentanyl, and that's probably like a fun bye-bye too, like a good feeling,
right,
because
it's yeah.
I just feel like that's the. But here's the thing: most people that do it aren't thinking rationally.
No. They certainly aren't. No, they're not. No, they are not.
And they typically, it's not so much about feeling good; it's about ending the feelings of feeling bad. Like it's so much more. Jumping off this bridge or jumping in front of this train would be better than what I'm feeling right now. I think is typically where they come from. So it's for me to even go at it as like what would be the most comfortable way to go out? That's not really what they're thinking. They're just like, holy shit, end the shit that I'm feeling right now.
I think I always, like, this is really sad, and then we can move on because it's so goddamn sad, but you think about, like, how bad it really has to be in that moment. Like, I've been really bad, like, rock bottom in my life before. Everyone's gone there. But that's nothing, like, compared to how sad and hopeless you have to actually get to do that. And that alone is such a bummer that you're in that feeling right before you go.
Yeah, well,
that's your last kind of feeling,
and you have to imagine that there's that quick little, because we all know that we could just go talk to somebody to feel better, but then I think that a lot of people in that situation, they shoot it down themselves with like, no one wants to hear from me, or like, I don't, I'll be a bother or something. Yeah. It's so tough. What is up with this pop-up right here I'm getting? It says, chick me. It's like a fucking...
Oh, what is that? Like a porny thing? Or
I thought it was porn, but it's like female clothing. Why would I get that pop-up?
It's just super aggressively sexy for a clothing thing.
I don't think any of that would look good on me.
Let's do a movie pick, then we'll let you go.
Yeah,
you got
good call.
To do, man.
It's already later now. I can't believe it's this late. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, we'll do this quick. All right, so we talked about her before, and
Aubrey Plaza.
I love her, dude. Did you ever end up watching that movie?
No, man, I can't find it.
Something Goes West. What's her name?
I tried to pirate it and I couldn't find it.
Ingrid Goes West.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You couldn't find it.
So weird.
Fuck. Well, I'll try to find it and send it to you.
Okay.
That's a great one. This is with Lake Bell. That girl
that's
I love.
The one. That's who I was thinking, actually. Yeah.
So because we discussed this movie and then I watched it 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it before. It's called In a World. If you just do In a World trailer on YouTube, you'll find it there. And I either didn't know this or I forgot, but Lake Bell wrote and directed this movie.
Oh, dang.
Dude, it's so good, Alan. You'd love it. It's super funny.
All right.
It's just funny and well done. There's a lot of people in it. You're like, oh, that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Rob Corddry is in it.
Oh, yeah.
In a world. In a world.
Hey, make sure your phone's turned off. I think we're getting some feedback
Dimitri
out
Martin.
here.
Oh.
And the dude from Parks and Rec.
All right. Ready.
This Wednesday, one woman will teach another woman. I just woke up, so my voice is cold.
Let's face it, the industry does not crave a female sound.
Yeah, Dad, you've made me painfully aware of that my whole life.
Not being sexist, that's just the truth. You should stick with the accents. That's what you're good at. What was that Russian Star Wars thing you used to do as a kid?
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Please, let me hear it.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
I just love that. It's so random.
I've been working the vocal coaching, right?
Hello, Carol.
Oh, so good.
Eva Maria.
Is that what you think, you stupid slapper? Eva, could you just put the cork back in your mouth and work on those vowels? Thank you. I might be the voice of Sunny Delight.
Sunny D.
Next up, lemon drop shots on me. I'll see you tonight then. All right. Okay.
I know she hung up already.
Is that obvious?
I lost it to a broad? Are you kidding me?
Nowadays, they're flying planes, they're taking jobs. That's just the reality.
Welcome to today's world.
Let's give the voiceover industry something to talk about here. What do you say? Sorry, I got carried away there.
There's a great big epic coming down the pike.
The Amazon Games. It's about these fierce, mutated female Amazonian warriors battling clone prehistoric cavemen hybrids. It's all based on the Prussian War.
And everybody's in a huff, I guess. They're reinstating the hokey in a world gimmick.
In a world.
Your dad is so hot.
My.
Ugh.
Chimmery.
Nope, stupid slapper. This Wednesday, one woman will teach another woman to sound a little less...
Can I get a smoothie around here? I don't know where you'd get a smoothie around here at all. I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Thanks so much. Yeah, no worries.
In a world.
In a world. In a world.
Wow. Cannot wait to see that movie.
There it is, people.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Just a solid indie movie.
Yeah.
Good laughs all the way through.
Yeah, dude, you're not fucking around about that cast.
Right?
That shit's nuts.
I know. Yeah, it's a...
Fucking Nathan Fillion or whatever, and Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
Fucking...
Crazy.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the show Party Down? It's a series.
I watched, like, the first half of the first season because I like Adam whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
That main dude.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. It's not, like, amazing, but...
Yeah.
Nice little comedy. Dude, let's get you out of here, man. You got enough work to do.
Yeah, I gotta pee and then I gotta jet.
Alan is nice enough. He usually works yesterday, which was Tuesday.
Yeah.
And apparently Gmail was down worldwide, so...
Globally down. And I needed some shit from a client and I couldn't download it.
Yep.
And my entire night was open for design and couldn't do it. And then that's the thing with having a schedule that's just fucking watertight.
I know.
Like if shit doesn't go right Tuesday,
right,
I can rarely just make up for it on Wednesday's podcast.
Right. It's fucked.
Monday's band practice.
Well, that's what you want ultimately. It's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's better for me to stay busy. So.
Well, have fun in Los Angeles. You're going there for work. Is there anything you can talk about? Tell people about? You told me some crazy shit earlier today.
Yeah. I don't think I can talk about any of that, but yeah, I don't know. It's BMG Global, our parent company with Rise. All the offices are coming out. There's like a little town hall. We're gonna, I think, kind of get ready for this year, get some info on. It's just a good chance for a lot of us to interface. It's just a bunch of people I email with every day, so now I can put a face to the name.
Would Rise ever go down in Los Angeles permanently? They wouldn't really need to. Right?
I don't know. Yeah, part of me thinks that if they did that it would be more of an absorption of the label.
It almost hurt them.
Yeah, it would be like, why move everybody up? We'll just have BMG LA handle shit internally. Mm-hmm. But I'm the wrong guy to ask. I'm too stupid to know, like,
sure.
I got no fucking idea what the best way for that shit to go down would be. But hopefully that doesn't happen because I ain't fucking going.
Yeah.
So.
I hear you. All right, dude. Well, thanks for doing the show tonight because I know you're busy.
Yeah. No, dude, no problem. It's a commitment.
The usual that we say every week is if you found any value in this, you found yourself laughing or picking your nose during the show, just tell one person. You know, we encourage you to like and subscribe and all the usual shit people say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you don't want to do that, just tell one person about the show, and we would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it helps a ton.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be here next week, and for more of good old times. We hope everyone's doing well, and thanks for the support, and we'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Oh, Peggy Gordon, you are my darling. Come sit you down upon my knee. Come tell to me the very why I am slighted so by thee. I'm so in love I can't deny it. My heart lies smothered in my breast. It's not for you to let the world know. I did put my head